In this lecture, we will calculate the radius of hydrogen atom using Bohr atomic model. We will consider a hydrogen atom that has atomic number Z. It has Z number of proton with nuclear charge Ze. An electron of charge E is revolving around the nucleus in a circular path that is known as orbit, and it has velocity v. Now the radius of this shell or this orbit is equal to r. According to the Coulomb law, the electrostatic force of attraction between two bodies is given by the force of attraction is proportional to Q1, that is charge of first body, Q2, that is charge of second body, divided by r square, the distance between these two charged bodies. Now replace the sign of proportionality with some constant k. K is equal to Coulomb force is equal to K Q1 Q2 divided by R square. Now if we look at this atom, there are two charged bodies. One has plus charge, another one has negative charge. Now we apply this Coulomb law to it by considering the charge on nucleus, that is Q1, is equal to Ze, and charge on electron, that is Q2, that is equal to E. Now if we put Ze and E value into this equation, we will get K Ze multiplied by E divided by R square. Ze is charge on nucleus, E is charge of electron, divided by R square is the radius of the shell. Now K is the proportionality constant that has value 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. Now what is mean by the epsilon naught? It is a vacuum permittivity constant, and it is a measure of how easy it is for electrostatic force to pass through the vacuum, that is free space, and it has value given also, or we can define it as it is a physical constant that reflects the ability of electrical field to pass through a vacuum, which means that it is a physical constant which represent or which measure the ability of charged body to pass through a vacuum. Now putting the value of K in equation 1, we will get force of Coulomb is equal to Ze square, that is Ze multiplied by E, so it becomes Ze square divided by R square, and putting the value of K, so K is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, so it will become Ze square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. The centripetal force provided by the Coulomb force of attraction. Coulomb force of attraction is between the two charged bodies. Here nucleus has positive charge, revolving electron in a circular path has negative charge. These both show attraction towards each other. Now this electron will attract it towards the center of the atom, so it will be provided by the centripetal force. Centripetal force is that type of force which is acting on a moving body that will direct the moving body to attract it towards the center. There is an opposite force of the centripetal force that is known as centrifugal force. Centrifugal force is that type of force that will direct the body to move away from the center. So here the arrows are given, that is towards the center and that is away from the center. So centrifugal force has formula mv square divided by r. Now both the forces are equal magnitude and opposite to each other, so they will balance each other. For a stable orbit, centrifugal force is equal to the force or Coulombic force, or we can say it will be equal to the centripetal force. mv square divided by r, it is the formula of centrifugal force. Ze square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square, this is the formula of Coulombic force. Now shift the r to the other side. Here in this case, if we look at this formula, here are some same terms, that is this r will cancel out with this square value. So we will get mv square is equal to ze square 4 pi epsilon naught r. Now if we arrange this and get the value of r, we will shift the r over here and mv square over here. Then we will get r is equal to ze square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught mv square. If we look at this formula, z is constant, e square is constant, m is constant. This is the mass of electron. 4 pi epsilon naught is constant. So the value left are r and v square. So these constants are replaced by the constant of proportionality, and r is equal to 1 divided by v square. So it will show the radius is inversely proportional to the square of velocity of the electron, which show that the radius and square of velocity has inverse relationship, which mean the electron will move faster in an orbit of smaller radius. According to the fifth postulate of Bohr atomic model, angular momentum is equal to nh divided by 2 pi. Now squaring this whole equation, we will get m square v square r square is equal to n square h square 4 pi square. 4 is from 2, 2 multiplied by 2, it will become 4. Now solving it for v square, we will get v square is equal to n square h square divided by m square r square 4 pi square. If we look at this formula, we will divide here this term and this term by m square r square, and here we also put m square r square over there, which means that both these value will come over there, and we will get n square h square divided by m square r square 4 pi square. Now putting the value of v square in the equation of radius, that is equal to ze square mv square 4 pi epsilon naught. Now putting the value of v square from this equation into this equation, we will get r is equal to ze square divided by m. This green value is the value of v square in this equation, 4 pi epsilon naught. Now the value that is the denominator of denominator, it will come to the numerator side. Now if m square v square m square r square 4 pi square will come to the ze square side, so the equation becomes ze square m square r square 4 pi square divided by n m square h square 4 pi epsilon naught. Now solving it, we know that there are some common terms in it, that is m will cancel out with this square, r will cancel out with this square, 4 will cancel out with this 4, pi will cancel out with this square. We will get 1 is equal to, that is this r is cancelled out, so here it becomes 1. 1 is equal to ze square m r pi divided by n square h square epsilon naught. Now n square h square epsilon naught is shifted to the other side, so the equation is this one. Now divide this equation, both sides of this equation, by ze square m pi. So we will divide it by ze square m pi both sides. Now these both terms will cancel out. This term and this term will cancel out. Now the equation is r is equal to n square h square epsilon naught divided by ze square pi m. For hydrogen atom, Z has value that is equal to 1. So the equation of radius will become as, now we will put here 1. The value is n square epsilon naught h square divided by pi e square m. Now the equation has some constant value that are present in a square bracket, and these constant value are replaced by a single constant that is equal to alpha naught. Now putting the value of alpha naught in the above equation, we will get r is equal to n square multiplied by alpha naught. Now the alpha naught has some constant value, because if we put the value of numerical value of all these constant, we will get 0.529 angstrom. Now here it is replaced by 0.529 angstrom. Now the radius of hydrogen atom that is calculated as r is equal to n square, that is the number of shell and it has square, multiplied by 0.529 angstrom. So we will calculate the radius of hydrogen atom for first shell and second shell when n is equal to 1, which means that it is first shell. Now r is equal to 1 square, that is n square, multiplied by 0.529 angstrom. We will get 0.529 angstrom. When n is equal to 2, so we will put here as 2. 2 multiplied by 2, it will become 4. 4 multiplied by 0.529 angstrom, it will result 2.116 angstrom. So this is an example that is calculated for the hydrogen radius.